friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do a comparison of two mid-range smartphones below the 15k price segment. We have the Moto G8 Plus, which was launched recently for 13,999, and we're going to compare it with the Xiaomi's Mi A3, which is priced 12,999. So both the devices have stock-like UI, and there are a lot of similarities as well. Both have 4000 mAh capacity battery, both have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 665 chipset, and also both have stock-like UI. So there are a lot of differences as well. Now in this video we'll talk about all these things, and we'll see which all areas these two devices differ and which all areas these two devices excel. So let's get started with a comparison of the Moto G8 Plus with the Xiaomi's Mi A3. So first step, let's have a look at the design and build quality. Now if you look at the design of the Moto G8 Plus, so we can see that it has a curved finishing. We have the camera unit vertically aligned. We have a triple rear camera setup, and the fingerprint scanner also has the Moto logo, and this is a green in color as well. So it looks quite good in terms of the design aspect. It may not be a compact device because it's a 6.3 inches display, and you can also see the thickness is also slightly on the higher side, and the 4000 mAh capacity makes it a slightly bulky device. Not by a huge margin, but then still it's still a bulky device, and it gives a good feel altogether because it has a curved finishing, and the overall fit and finish looks also quite good. Now this is a plastic or polycarbonate material, so advantage of the polycarbonate material is that it does not break easily, but then it also gets scratched easily. That's the disadvantage. So overall Moto G8 Plus has a quite good design. Now if you look at the front panel design as well, you can see that the dot notch display looks quite good. The notch is quite small, and the bezels are also quite minimal on the Moto G8 Plus. So that's the design aspect of the Moto G8 Plus. Now let's move on to the Xiaomi's Mi A3. So the Mi A3 also has a curved finishing. You can see that the edges have curved. Now the important thing about the Mi A3 is that this is a glass finishing with a plastic frame. Now you can also see that the chrome accents on the sides of the device gives it a seriously premium finish, like the Apple's iPhone devices. You can see that the finishing looks more or less premium, and the fit and finish also looks good. Now this is a really compact device. That's one of the important things because it's a 6.01 inches screen size. It's much compact and thicker, slimmer than the Moto G8 Plus. It's also more compact in hands. You can see that you can use it with one hand. That's something which is really useful, and the front panel design also looks quite okay. You can also see the dot notch display, and the display size is also slightly lesser than the Moto G8 Plus. So overall we feel in terms of design and build quality, you can see that we feel the Xiaomi Mi A3 has advantage on two counts. One is this is a glass finishing which adds premiumness to the device. Secondly, it's more compact to use. Again, some people might like a bigger display, so this is again subjective thing. So in our opinion, we feel the Mi A3 is the better device in terms of the design and build quality. Now next, let's move on to the display. So here we have two devices with quite different displays. We have an IPS LCD panel on the Moto G8 Plus. So you can see that this is an IPS LCD panel, and the display quality also looks pretty good. It's a full HD plus resolution display, and this is protected by Panda glass. Now the display quality on the Moto G8 Plus is pretty good. The colors are pretty good, the touch response is pretty smooth, and overall viewing angles are also pretty acceptable on the Moto G8 Plus. Now moving on to the Xiaomi's Mi A3. So this is the Xiaomi's Mi A3. It has a 6.01 inches HD plus resolution display. Now the difference here is that this is an AMOLED panel compared to the IPS LCD panel. So you can see that the colors are much vivid and brighter, and gives a slightly better feel overall than the Moto G8 Plus in terms of display quality. But the downside here is that it has an HD plus resolution display compared to the full HD on the Moto G8 Plus. So you can actually see that the resolution is not that good. That's when you look a bit more closer, you can actually feel that there is an HD plus resolution display. So there is an advantage for Moto G8 Plus in terms of the resolution of display, but the panel is better on the Mi A3. So but here again overall we feel our choice would be probably to go with a full HD plus resolution display, because if you're watching movies or if you spend a lot of time on the display, then the Moto G8 Plus makes sense because it's a full HD resolution display, and watching movies is definitely better because of the higher pixel resolution, and also you can view a full HD content on this device. But on the Xiaomi's Mi A3, it's limited compared to HT Plus. So that's the difference. Now in terms of display protection, we have the Panda Glass on the Moto G8 Plus, while we have Core-Ring Gorilla Glass 5 support on the back as well as on the front panel on the Xiaomi's Mi A3. So Mi A3 has an advantage in that aspect as well. Now next, moving on to the software. So if you look at the software, you can see that both have the stock like UI. You can see that both have stock Android. Now the difference here is that Xiaomi's Mi A3 is on the Android 1 platform, while we have the Moto G8 Plus, which has the stock like UI. It's not an Android 1 platform. Now the difference here is that both have exactly the same UI and features. In fact, Moto G8 Plus has additional Moto actions and Moto display feature, which definitely adds more options to the stock Android. But the difference here is that since it's under Android 1, the Mi A3 will get 2 years of promised update. That's not available on the Moto G8 Plus. So the Mi A3 has an advantage in terms of software. It's a plain and stock UI, but advantage here is that updates are promised for 2 years. So if you're a person who is more concerned about updates, then our choice would be to go with the Mi A3. But otherwise, we don't really feel a major difference in terms of the UI experience. In fact, the Moto app does provide additional options on the G8 Plus. Now moving on to the performance. So we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 665 chipset on both the phones. So in terms of day-to-day performance, we could hardly see any difference here because both have 4GB RAM. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 665 does a quite good job in terms of experience. Even in terms of gaming experience, both are quite similar. In fact, the Moto G8 Plus with the full HD plus resolution display and the larger display is slightly better in terms of the gaming experience. Even Mi A3 isn't bad, but then smaller display and HD plus resolution display definitely has an impact. Now in terms of day-to-day performance, as I said before, there isn't much to differentiate here. Now two areas where the Moto G8 Plus has advantage. One is the Dolby support. It has Dolby support on the speakers, so that makes the sound quality better on the Moto G8 Plus. And there is also IP rating. This splash resistant coating is included. It may not be the waterproof coating, but still splash resistant coating is included on the Moto G8 Plus, so that definitely gives an advantage for the Moto G8 Plus. Now call quality and other aspects looks quite similar. Now the fingerprint scanner is faster on the Moto G8 Plus because it's the physical fingerprint scanner, while we have it on the display on the Mi A3. Mi A3 is a tad slower in terms of the fingerprint scanner experience. Now next, let's move on to the cameras. So we have a lot of similarities in terms of the camera aspect. So we have 48 megapixel camera on both the devices. So we have the IMX586 sensor, that's the Sony's IMX586 sensor on the Xiaomi's Mi A3, while we have the Samsung's GM1 48 megapixel sensor on the Moto G8 Plus. Now both have ultra wide angle cameras. We have an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, while we have a 16 megapixel quad pixel ultra wide angle camera. But the difference here is that on Moto G8 Plus you can record only videos using the ultra wide angle camera. In fact, this is an action camera. So if you are more into taking action shots or action videos, then the Moto G8 Plus definitely has an advantage with the action camera, but you cannot click wide angle pictures with the Moto G8 Plus. So that's the difference. Now selfie camera is 32 megapixel on the the Mi A3, while it's 25 megapixel on the Moto G8 Plus. Now let's have a look at some of the samples we have taken. So here are the camera samples taken with the Moto G8 Plus and the Xiaomi's Mi A3. So in terms of daylight performance also, we can't really say one is better than the other. Both have a pretty good performance. The sharpness levels are tad better on the Xiaomi's Mi A3. The sensor, the Sony's IMX586 sensor, definitely has slightly better sharpness levels than the Samsung's GM1 sensor. Now in terms of the other aspects, we feel the camera quality looks quite similar. Even the close-up shots also looks quite similar. The portrait shots were a tad better on the Moto G8 Plus, while the night shots were a tad better on the Mi A3. So it's a mixed performance in terms of the camera on both these devices. In some areas it was the Mi A3 which was the better. In some areas the Moto G8 Plus did have an advantage, especially in selfies. The Mi A3 had an advantage with slightly sharper selfies. So it's a mixed performance basically. So you can decide based on these images which one do you like more in terms of the camera experience. Now finally, the battery life. So both have a 4000 mAh capacity battery, and we have 18 watt fast charger on the Mi A3, while it's 15 watt fast charger on the Moto G8 Plus. So battery wise, we feel Mi A3 has an advantage because it's an HD plus resolution display to power and also a smaller form factor, while we have a slightly bigger display here, but not by a huge margin, but still we feel Mi A3 has a slight advantage in terms of the battery performance. Further, we have 18-watt fast charger on the Mi A3, while we have 15-watt fast charger on the Moto G8 Plus. Now summing up, pricing wise, the Mi A3 is priced 12,999 while it's 13,999 on the Moto G8 Plus. So which is better device to buy here? So it's a really tough job to decide which is better here, because in terms of the design and build quality, then software experience, the cameras, battery, the Mi A3 had an advantage. But in terms of the display performance, then you also get a pretty good software experience. Cameras are also quite good, battery life is also quite acceptable, and you also get a full HD plus resolution display and the Dolby support, as well as water splash resistant coating. So this makes the Moto G8 Plus definitely good. Now it's up to you to decide which is your priority. If you are more into priority is software, then we would suggest you to go with the Mi A3, because Mi A3 is promised to get 2 years update. But otherwise, we feel the Moto G8 Plus priced 1K higher feels a good option actually. In fact, it has a full HD plus resolution display and overall a good package with the Moto G8 Plus. So we would say that based on your priority, you should be choosing one of these devices, and you can decide based on what is more important to you, whether it's software, the camera, or looks, or even the battery performance. So that is the detailed comparison of the Moto G8 Plus with the Xiaomi's Mi A3. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button and also hit the red subscribe button for more videos. This is Norma signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.